I'm sitting here today, exactly 1 year ago. I started this platform. I did something that I had no knowledge of, something that I was scared to do, and ultimately something that I just wanted to do to make me feel better about losing my mother. So happy 1 year anniversary to the Talk with Tay podcast. I'm extremely grateful to be here. I can't really put it into words, man. Time flies by so fast, especially when when you're healing and grieving. So it's been a real. I learned a lot about myself, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm excited. I'm very grateful to be in this position. Very grateful to start a platform like this that's helped a lot of people. That's opened up that room for vulnerability in Black men, especially when it comes to things like this, relating to mental health and grieving and things that we deal with, everybody deals with on a daily basis that's not, spoke upon. So I'm really, really excited, man. I appreciate all the support that I've gotten since starting this and the continuous support. Today's episode is going to be just about what I've learned so far within a year of starting this, man. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot. Losing someone like a parent, man, that shit will make you unpack so much within a very short time frame. Throughout the episodes that I've released, right, I've always talked about how I felt, when my mother passed away, that I felt like a part of me died too. And it wasn't until like a few weeks ago that I realized that I was grieving two of my favorite people at the same time, right? Which is my mother and me. I was grieving myself too. I'm still grieving that person that I used to be when my mother passed away. And I didn't really understand that. I always knew I was different. I had a lot of people close to me, tell me how, they hate seeing me, go through this and, just stuff along those lines, right? And I'll be honest, man, that it all comes full circle now, because although I'm in a good position in life, I'm extremely blessed. Actually, today is my first time. I just left church, and it's my first time going to church in years, bro. I still have a good relationship with God, and I gotta thank Him for putting me in this position first and foremost. But I wasn't going to church at all. I didn't really go too much throughout my life, but I was saying that I was gonna start back going, and you know what I mean. It didn't happen, bro. So I just find it funny today that I'm recording this, and it's my 1 year anniversary. A lot of things have been unfolded, but back to what I was saying. Although I'm in a good position in life and I'm doing some things right now that I'm extremely grateful for, extremely blessed, and I have no complaints. And I love this version, this new version of me, the things that I'm doing, who I'm becoming, right? But when people hit me up and talk about how, they hate seeing me like this, and, they watch me go through these things, and they hate that I'm not who I used to be, in a sense of like my outgoing personality. It's not many smiles from me, not much laughter, you know what I mean? That kind of hit deep for me, because that's who I was, before my mother died. I was full of life. I've always had my battles in life, with mental health, but that's the type of dude I was for real. Like, and I still am to a point, but to see people tell me that, it resonated because again, I'm grieving the person that I used to be as well, along, with losing my mom, bro, like my favorite person. So that's like another layer that I'm unpacking right now, like as we speak, you know what I mean? So that's been really tough on me because there is a lot of things that I do miss about the old version of myself. I don't, I'm okay. I'm always okay with progressing in life, right? And, moving forward and doing, accomplishing different things as time go on, you know what I mean? But I do miss that part of me, that was outgoing, you know what I mean? That was full of more life, you know what I mean? Slowly starting, starting to get back to that point, of just being more of an open person, being, laughing more, smiling more and shit like that. But it's been hard trying to really understand, what that's like grieving yourself too. Like, cause I died that day. My mother died. I really did. And unconsciously, right? I always knew it. I always knew, like I say it all the time, like something was different about me for obvious reasons. Anybody who loses a parent, especially a parent you close to, a mother, right? That shit'll change you. It'll change you. But as time went on, man, it was just like I didn't know who I was. Still discovering, but then, it's 3.5 years now. And even saying that, right, that's like that's the craziest shit to me. Like 3.5 years since my mother been gone, man. It's definitely it's definitely tough, you know? It's definitely tough. Sometimes it feels like time speeds up, and sometimes it feels like, it's just slowing down. Everything is taking forever. And the hardest part about everything about it, is knowing that other people move on around you. Life continues and people forget about it. People think, time is supposed to heal something, man. I be having, certain things said to me, or people just expecting me to be cool still, even though I look it, like, yeah, I look good. I always look good. You know what I mean? I always fought through things that bothered me. But people forget. People forget real quickly, man. And I would never forget, my mother. I'll never forget anything about her, anything about how it made me feel. That's just some shit that I would never be okay with, and I'm fine with saying that. You know what I mean? Like most people don't want to, don't want to say the truth about what grief is like when you grieving yourself and another person, bro. It's completely different person, new identity, 100% new identity. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're born. It's like you're born again. You become a baby all over. It's like you learning how to talk, learning how to walk. And I didn't understand none of that shit. I just knew it hurt and it just felt bad, man. It really made me feel bad. But now, since starting this platform, I'm able to understand that everybody has the same experiences when it comes to grief, when losing a parent, especially. But losing somebody that's close to you, somebody that you love. When people move on, bro, that's the hardest part to me. I will never forget, going back to when she first passed away, right? And I told y'all this before, like my family was divided, all of that shit was going on. And I'll never forget, I graduated college, right? My mom passed December 3rd. The following week, I'm at my college graduation, and I would never forget, bro, leaving graduation and going home to change clothes, grab all my luggage, you feel me, and call a Uber to the airport, my nigga. I felt soulless. I ain't gonna lie to you. Leaving a graduation and going to the airport, right? Ain't nothing is resonating. Even nothing is making sense at this point. I'm like, what? Like, what is this? Like, what's going on, bro? Like, you feel me? What's really going on? I couldn't believe that I was doing that. I couldn't believe it at all. Leaving a graduation, going home to get my suitcase and luggage, and calling an Uber to the airport, bro, to go bury my mother. That shit broke me on different levels, man. And death is already hard, but when you go through it with events like that in place, a graduation, you getting ready to go to school again after your mother died, you you start to question everything that's around you. And when I called that Uber and I was waiting on a motherfucker to pull up to my crib to take me to the airport, I was just asking myself, like, is this real? Is this real at all? Like, it felt like a dream. It still feels like a dream, but in those stages, it felt like something you would see out of a movie, bro. Like, it was so crazy. And what's even crazier is just getting to the airport, going through TSA and all of that stuff, and boarding and sitting on that plane, dog. That everything about it, getting on the plane, getting off the plane, picking up luggage, and going. You feel me? At this time, I was staying in a hotel. It was a lot of shit going on, bro. I was in a hotel for like 7 days, a week, yeah, a week straight. And when I was in that hotel, leaving graduation, getting on a flight to go bury my mom, and being in that hotel, knowing that all my family is going through such a hard time, and we still got shit that was going on before then, right? So, I didn't hear from my family while I was sitting in the hotel, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That week, that was probably the most I've ever slept and ate food ever in my life, bro. I was just asleep. I wake up. Like, I would sleep for small increments and then just wake up and go back to sleep, thinking this shit is not real, waiting on somebody to call me out. You feel me? I get up, look at my phone, nothing. And that shit, it built a different type of fire. It put a different type of fire in me. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I was so upset that, like, bro, you feel me? We family, bro. Like, we can't be together right now. And I say this all the time because that shit, I'm still learning how to deal with that. A lot of it is forgiveness. A lot of it is accepting people for who they are, accepting the situations for what it is. You know what I mean? But it was just so cold. That's the numbest I've ever felt. Like, nigga, I felt like if I would have died that day, like during that time, I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying a bunch of stuff, but like, I was so low and so numb to everything around me. Nothing made sense. Nothing. I didn't care about anything. You feel me? But I'll never forget that, bro. And I don't get a chance to talk about. I really don't get a chance to talk about these things with people, because there's only so much a person wants to hear and so much that they can take. So we always talk about, men opening up more and all of that stuff, but it's always a back and forth type of thing. And I don't really feel like I don't feel like it'll change because I just feel like that is something that will always be a permanent thing in the space. And I'm not saying everybody don't have any, no one to talk to, right? But there's a lot of things we won't ever get a chance to talk about. And we got to die with some of this, some of these things. So it just, again, I'm still learning who I am. I'm still learning who I am. For a while, I didn't, it was at a point where like, man, is my name really Tay? Like that's the type of things that's going through my brain. Like, am I here right now? Like, is this a dream? Like, am I supposed to be feeling this way? You know what I mean? It was hard, man. I'm still battling. I'm still battling, but I feel a lot better today. Right now in this moment. Again, because I have created this platform, for me, myself, and for others, and I've been able to reach a lot of great people, connect with a lot of people, and really just understand that I really wasn't alone. And I wasn't going crazy when I was thinking about this shit, like, and being numb and missing everything about a person. My mom. That shit is like it's still that shit still way heavy on me right now. Like you could see it like right now, like bro. Like I'll never be able to call that person ever again. You know what I mean? Like that. That's something I think about every day. I look at my phone, look at the contact. I'm just like, damn, bro. Like no, like never. You know what I mean? Never. But I also feel, would I be here right now? Would these things have happened in my life if she was here? Would I be able to help others? Will I be healed? You know what I mean? Will I be healing the way I am now? Because I was having a hard time when she was alive healing from, certain traumas and stuff like that. So I always think about that too. Like, was it meant to be? Obviously I don't want to know the answer to that. It's pretty clear. I got this platform that's helping people and people are really supporting me. Everybody supported me. So it's like, damn, this is what had to happen. You know what I mean? In order for me to really start healing. Something so painful had to happen that needed to happen. It don't make sense, but I really do trust God with everything, and I really do. I trust this journey that I'm on, and I'm excited for what's to come. I did have to take a back seat, with the podcasting and everything because of other things that I was doing, but I found my why again. You know what I mean? I got lost in the along the way with doing this stuff. I got a little lost, I'll be honest with you. But, I found my way back to the destination and it's cool. Everything is all good and definitely gonna be dropping, more consistent content, And God has been a really good helping point in my life right now. Like always have, but like especially right now, I've been struggling with strength lately. And I will say there, one day, man, you will have to experience the death of someone extremely, extremely close to you, like a parent, right? And those are the people who always have the most to say about what somebody should feel. So I just want to say, man, one day y'all will have to experience some shit like this. And I hope, and I hope that you're able to give grace to others, because y'all, people be showing out, man, be trying to use that against you like it's fun. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing fun about losing somebody, especially trying to use it against a person. You know what I mean? Like, nah, don't, that ain't cool at all. But I ain't gonna focus on too much of that. But I just hope people understand that one day you have to experience it. We all, everyone has to. And it will change you, you know. It will change you. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, man, I'm still learning who I am today. Still learning who I am today. Still trying to find myself again. That's not always a bad thing. You know what I mean? I'm still searching. I got a lot of inner work to do. To get myself to an understanding of what really happened. Because my mother died. What really happened to me? What am I gaining from this? What am I learning from this? Like, why? I'm not questioning God anymore. I did. I told y'all about that. I question him a lot about this for sure. Like what you doing, bro? Like, why you have to do this? You know what I mean? So that I'm not in that space no more. But I am, asking myself a lot of questions now. It's so much, man. Healing is a lifetime thing. That's why I'm glad, I was able to start this, because I'm gonna be healing for the rest of my life. So this is something that I can always have. This is always gonna be an outlet. And if I'm able to help people, man, it's all good. I'm all for it, bro. One day my kids will see everything, all of this stuff. In generations, I wanna be able to leave something, and I will leave a lot of things behind in my legacy or whatever, to my kids and everything like that. But I really want them to understand who I was and what I was, going through. And I know for a fact I'll be able to continue to help a lot of people in this space, because if someone like me could do it, man, ain't no telling. It really ain't no telling. I've impacted a lot of people. People reach out to me daily. All kinds of people from different walks of life, man. And that's what it's about at the end of the day. So, man, I'm happy. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like, 1 year anniversary of the Talk with Tay podcast, 19 episodes. I'm big on putting out quality content, even though I've been having some issues with the consistency or whatever, but it's all good, because I don't want to put out anything that's not meaningful and it's not useful at all. I don't care what it is. So yeah, man, 1 year anniversary for Talk with Tay podcast. I appreciate everybody that's been a part of this journey. I appreciate everybody who support me, and I appreciate everybody who accept me for what I'm doing, man. And yeah, man, I appreciate all the love. The love is always here on my end too. All the people that I've met. Yeah, man, that concludes today's episode, man. But stay tuned. Make sure y'all subscribe. I want to see where this takes us, for real. All right, y'all.